Hello, welcome to Daily Smith Summit News. This is a news channel where I talk about when Smith Summit happened. Yesterday we had a very special guest who focused a lot more on the art side of things, the visuals. However, this time around we've got someone just as important that have involved themselves much more on the back end and how Summit functions behind the scenes. Welcome, RX.
Hello.
Yeah, glad to see that you're on. Really glad to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell the audience what do you do?
Yeah, I'm rx97. I've been around data packs for a while. I'm a part of a couple data pack teams. And at Smith, I am the team lead for the coordination team. So amongst all the other summit responsibilities, I've been the lead person talking to all the vendors to make sure they all got onboarded and got their booth pasted and working in our testing world. So I was the one to make sure everything goes smoothly.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear. I know that, like I mentioned previously, I've interviewed Curious, which is another person who's worked behind the scenes. However, I think it's very important to also see different people in different teams, such as you, who've actually been working behind the scenes. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what to expect from Summit this year that you've been working on?
Yeah, so, from our first time doing Summit, we learned like just so much about what it means to run a Minecraft data pack convention and what it means not only to run in the back end, but what it means to people and what people should expect. And from the first time where there was no expectations, now we have all these expectations. So we knew we had to punch pretty hard this time around. So what I would say you can expect is a more fluid and synchronous world from every detail of the design and how vendors are integrated into our world to just also like more parts of the world working together. It's just going to be more of a complete experience than the first summit. We've learned a lot. We were able to guide the vendors to be better prepared and be able to, fulfill their booth stream of being fully interactable and so forth. And so, one of the biggest aspects of this year is nearly every booth is interactable to some extent. As you'll go exploring through Summit, you'll be having a sticker book that you can go and explore booths and be able to do small collectible hunts throughout our world, and you'll notice that so many of the booths have some mini challenge for you to conquer for you to explore all the content. And so really the motif is just content. There's just more content this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool to hear. I know that you were very much involved in this year, and I can imagine it was the same last summit as well. And really joining the team a bit later on after a lot of the groundwork has been laid down, and just seeing it still continue to build, even to like recently, well, very recently still with gameplay, where you're still tweaking and just finalizing things to make sure that Summit is perfect this time around. Is there maybe a feature of Summit this year that you'd consider like one of your favorite that you've been working on or have helped working on, like the gameplay side of things or technical?
Like a feature that I've had impact on.
If you had impact on, or if you think it's just really cool, that's sort of like your team as well.
I mean, tangentially, I would say like the vehicles are just so impressive, but I didn't have much impact on those other than watching it come to life. But related to my team or the work I put together, I would say it's not as outwardly visible, but the internal vendor site that I had put together and worked on, and all the other vendor resources was a big undertaking this year. Part of, our biggest lesson was making it easier for vendors to get all the details and knowledge they need in order to fulfill their booth. So, since our world is a custom environment, there are custom rules that you have to follow. And so, we put together an internal site where vendors could go look at documentation. They could download the latest builds of our resources in our library if they need to, use something that's Summit specific. And also, they could upload their pack and run it through a pipeline that would go and check their code for quick performance things or flag it in any other way. And it would give them a complete, almost a one-to-one Summit build that they could use and test in their own world as well as we generate some stuff. So it's a bit on the technical side, but what that really meant was we were able to be able to work with like nearly 500 submissions across our 70 booths as people were fixing and adding things to their code as they tested and so forth. We were able to pretty swiftly review new code updates across all of the coordination team. And so I would say that was the number one improvement to our process this year, was just being able to handle the insanity that's, 500 unique data packs across, all sorts of different genres of content when it comes to the game. So um, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's really cool to hear. I know that with Art Team, I heard a little bit about the past, about the creation of it and all that. But I know that just from a just a standpoint on creating it, something like gameplay is just very different in terms of like what you have to do. Whereas Art Team is sort of just like the actual visuals of it is sort of like figuring out how to get stuff done. Like I know the elevators took about like 2 to 3 months and like 4 people just to get like correctly, each with their own unique takes on how to do things. So, has there been anything that you've had to like adapt and learn for this summit around to make like a certain feature work?
Yeah, so I would say probably our linting system as a part of the internal resource. Uh, it is a new system that I've wanted to build for data packers in general, that scans your data pack in all of its commands and essentially looks for optimization improvements that are pretty easy, that they could honestly automate if we wanted to remove like NPT checks and so forth, all the way to making broader suggestions or just flagging things for reviewers. The other parts, it would check your booth definition and other important files that vendors needed to submit. And it could make sure that you've abided by our spec correctly, so that, instead of submitting, you could go see that, oh, the pipeline is errored. I can go fix these things so that when I submit again, it'll be an even better submission. And what this meant was vendors throughout the process, especially towards late, they could continuously submit and check the output of their code to see if there's anything dangerous that's flagged that we need to take care of. And it would became a really big lift for everybody involved to be able to have an automated process to help you know abide by the standards that we have for Summit. And the really great part about the system was I developed it, not only with Summit in mind, but I also developed it to hopefully bring outside of Summit. And the reason, this could work pretty well for all data packs is Summit is, a unique case for data packs, but it's just frankly a lot of data packs that go through. And so I actually got a lot of data of different cases of people using commands in certain ways that I could create a pretty robust system to help data packers all across the, outside of Summit, to be able to make more efficient and more robust data packs. So that was probably the biggest hurdle.
Hmm. Oh, nice. I mean, that's very, very interesting to hear. And I know stuff like art, like if there were to be a next summit, the conversation of what would you change there is a bit more rough because like that requires so much thinking and stuff. However, from what I've heard about stuff that you've made for booth vendors and this side of things, really, I think it's a little bit easier to pinpoint what you'd improve for a next summit round, what you'd add to a feature compared to something like on the art team. So the question I want to ask is it anything that you plan on improving for next summit? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, what makes Summit is the booth vendors. They put in a lot of hard work to take something that they've worked on in their own time and showcase it, in a platform that people can, experience. It's ultimately an advertising thing, and being able to get your work out there. And so really, when it comes to getting Summit going, in the future, how can we make it easier to become a booth vendor and showcase your work? And that's the question, we strove to do it this time. We had a lot of proof of concepts of creating some libraries for the vendors and creating the internal sites and so forth. Um, and for next summit, we'd like to just continue and make it easier for Summit, for anybody to become a vendor. And that starts with taking the work we've done at Summit and turning it into something available outside of Summit. So we want to publish our libraries that we develop for Summit as maintainable things that people can use. And we want to publish our optimization guidelines and compatibility stuff that we've built for Summit, and just kind of build out a more robust ecosystem. So by the time next Summit comes around, people might already be familiar with how to get started. And I think that's the most beautiful part. Now that Summit is becoming more of like a known thing and we're able to get a little bit of traction here and there, I'm hoping that people will feel really excited to maybe join us as part of the vendor team and put together their own experience. And to me, that's the most exciting part. How many different outreaches of the community can we include in this beautiful convention?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly really cool to hear that you've got a lot planned for the future of stuff that you think that you can improve on and that you want to, which is really cool to see that you've got the community of Summit at the forefront of your mind when you think about what you want to be the best. But yeah, I know that similar to Curious, whilst they're certainly working on the back in the Summit, actually creating it, I know that you've like them actually are going to be showing stuff within Summit. Would you like to talk about a little bit of what people could see on the server that you're promoting?
Yeah, I'm a part of a couple projects outside of Smith. One project is the Shulker Box, which is what got me into commands in the first place. It's a PvP server that was started when command blocks were a thing in 1.9, and then we've sort of evolved that server from 1.9 command blocks all the way to the newer modern versions. And Summit was a big inspiration to get that project updated to the most modern version, as it was stuck in a 2-year-old, Minecraft version 1.20.4. So at the Shulker Box booth, you'll be able to try out our kits and learn about kind of the history of our server. And we put together a small mini game in the battlegrounds that you can go and play a little bit of domination with our newly updated kits. And I'm also working on open sourcing the server, which would be pretty cool for anybody who wants to see how we put that together. So I'm really excited about that. Next, I have the Beet booth. That is more of a behind the scenes booth, as Beat is just something that powers Summit as well. It's just a server framework or like a data pack framework. And so we kind of put together this cute display. Shout out Jisk, who really carried the vision and put together all the pieces for this. But it showcases kind of a cute cafe aesthetic that Curious built for us and really invested a lot of time to create a lot of assets and put together this vision. And you can go in there, talk to some people in the Beat community. You'll see Fizzy sitting in the chair, who's the creator of that ecosystem. And then in the back, there's some slideshows and presentations for some code snippets of our tech, in the wild, so you can see how other people are using our framework. So it's kind of like a fun place to hang out. That's where we are right now. So come check out the Beat booth. Lastly, I'm also part of the Vanilla Tweaks team. So we have a booth next to the Game Mode 4 booth that showcases some of our modules, but this year we were able to showcase some upcoming modules. So if you want to see what Vanilla Tweaks has coming up next, come check out our booth and you'll see a couple of new modules that'll be coming out in a couple months. So those are the main things I've been doing here, and really excited for people to check them out.
Nice. Well, that's really cool to hear. So I think we covered a lot of the bases and talked a little bit about you, your project, Swift in general. And yeah, so I was just wondering, as a final message to the audience, is there anything that you'd like to say?
Yeah, Summit is a really special project. It's something that I can't really imagine how it would come together, when we first thought about it in the beginning. And to work with all the amazing people on the Summit team, all the amazing vendors, both event and panelists and booth vendors, and just everybody I reached out and had a chat with. I'm just really grateful to be able to put something together so amazing that not one person can think about. So if you're really interested and really excited about Summit and Smith and think it's really cool, then just come say hi and shout out, hang out with us, and maybe even consider contributing or helping us build more cool things in the future. This is a fantastic community, and I'm really proud to call myself a Smithy or whatnot. So I'm happy to open the door for anybody who's interested to join us. So uh, that's my message.
Yeah, well, that's really cool to hear. So, thanks for coming to this interview.
Thank you. Thank you.
There has been news on Smith Summit. This is all for today, and I'll speak with you tomorrow.